and welcome to Season 2 of Chatting with Slava the Jordanian. I'm your host, STJ, and today I am with my co-host, Dr. Ihab Abdelrehim. We thought, as the first episode of the season, the first episode of 2026, to talk about our experience in 2025 and what we learned from it, and we just reflect on the events through the whole year. So I'm not sure if some of you had the chance to listen to my Instagram post that I just posted on New Year's Day, I believe, on both Slava Como and Jordanian women entrepreneurs about the new earth and new mindset. Obviously, our podcast, whether on Apple or Spotify, is published under the category of self-improvement, and it's all about having an unlimited mindset by eliminating limited beliefs. And we went into that concept in depth in 2025. So, like I mentioned, this episode, I want it to be a reflection. I want it to be a discussion of what we learned from 2025 and how did we, whether we prepared or not, how did we plan for 2026? So let's start with you, Dr. Ihab Abdelrehim. Thank you so much for coming back on. I know we have discussed this through the holiday season, and we talked about a lot of things. So I guess my first question to you is, reflecting on last year's event, what would you say was the biggest lesson that you learned from?
The biggest lesson last year, I would say just the kind of how the level of trust in people I have. I have to kind of change that moving forward in 2026 and, 2027, 2028, whatever it might be, is that I believed in certain people last year, and it turned out to be that those people ended up not really working out for myself, for the company, for just kind of all around, I would say. I learned some things last year that I will not make that same mistake this year. And moving forward, hopefully it'll be a smoother year. But again, I say that every year, and it's not always smooth. It's always tricky. So yeah.
So let's take a micro view on that impression from last year. So you're saying that, and let me just repeat it for the sake of our viewers and our audience, that you trusted certain people last year that you won't trust anymore moving forward, not just for 2026, but moving forward. Is that correct?
So it's not, yeah, but these people aren't with us anymore, so it doesn't really matter whether I trust them or not. It's just that now I have a different mindset of how I'm going to evaluate people. And, again, you cannot know everybody's actions ahead of time. You can only anticipate and prepare yourself for the whatever somebody might say or do. So you have to prepare yourself for as the best you can do, and mitigate any kind of issues that may come up. And now I have a really good mindset and idea of what I will do moving forward with respect to just kind of everybody that enters my life. But the people that I am talking about are not with us anymore, but what I'm saying is, in the future, I'm going to be very cognizant of just people's actions, in general.
So do you mean that you are reassessing how you are going to build relationships moving forward with that knowledge and that experience from last year? Or are you saying that you are reducing your circle of trust, making it a smaller range of people, more quality than quantity?
So the circle of trust has been reduced. It's always been small. But with respect to what I learned from last year is that I won't give too much of, I don't want to say of myself, but I'm not going to give too much thought or belief in what people say to me. Just let's put it that way. I'm going to think about when somebody says something, I'm going to think about the various reasons why they said it, figure out kind of what that comment or comments may take us, myself and that person and the company, in what direction. So there's going to be a lot of weighing some of that thought process in my mind.
So would you say that you're going to be a little bit more strategic in building relationship? It sounds like, especially as far as your business and as a entrepreneur, you're going to be a lot more strategic and careful in who you allow in. That's number one. Number two, and how you allow them in, depending on your analysis of whatever they say to you. So it sounds like your analysis system is getting a reboot or being reassessed. So you're analyzing.
My core. So I would say my core group, they're the same. They haven't changed. There's no difference there. But anybody outside that group is going to be treated differently this year. Not in a bad way. Obviously, I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to treat everybody very more in a more professional manner, and try to keep, be friendly, obviously, but not make those kind of bonds that move closer to a friendship in a way. So I'm going to try to keep away from that.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Ever wonder what top-tier financial strategists leveraging the power of AI are actually thinking? Welcome to What's Kenna French Thinking, a deep dive into the mind of a #1 Amazon best-selling author, co-hosted by Kenna French and Elaine Mingus. We're bringing you industry titans such as Sharon Lechter of Rich Dad, Poor Dad fame, Laurel Langmeyer from The Secret, and real estate mogul Ron LeGrand. We view the world through the lens of AI, advanced tax strategy, and high-level business with a ton of fun to boot. Search What's Kenna French Thinking on Spotify, Apple, Buzzsprout. Start thinking bigger. Find out what Kenna French is thinking today.
So you still gonna stay kind, right? As you are, Ihab. You're super kind. You have a big heart.
Of course.
But with limits. So you're gonna put more boundaries, it sounds like, to that relationship, a healthier boundaries, instead of having like a free range of a relationship. There's going to be boundaries. Don't cross that line. Don't cross that line. And I agree with you, because one of the biggest surprise to me, and my life obviously is connected to your life. So since we are married, was really at the end of the year. And it was a big surprise and big shock to me. And I can't even imagine how surprised you were. And I can tell that changed you. The people that probably they haven't been living with you as long as I have been living with you probably didn't notice it as much as I've noticed it, because I'm with you every single day, all the time. And, you know, when you live with somebody that long, over 30 years, you start forming a profile, personality profile of that person.
Yeah.
And when that profile gets shaken or get dysregulated or disrupted, the first person to notice that is the closest person to you. And vice versa. You are the same thing towards me. You can tell that something is off.
Right.
You can be the best actor. You can be the best adapter. You can be the best regulator. But when you are intimately involved with somebody, emotionally connected with somebody for that long, you start almost like thinking alike. So I can't imagine your thought process when we received that shock and that surprise. To me, I'm not sure about you. You can speak for yourself. I was disappointed, to be honest with you, but at the same time, I wasn't that surprised, because through the years, I saw that relationship, how your interaction with that person, how the relationship developed as adults. I didn't really see that genuine, innocent bond as you have described it to me when we were engaged or start dating in back then. So, you know, I believe things don't happen to us. Things happen for us. And I believe that this happened for a reason, to shift your mindset.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to have that attitude like, aha, I knew you were like a bad person or you mean or whatever. It's not like that.
Are you talking about the person that texted me, right? I think that's what you're talking about now, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
because
just in regards,
I don't wish it, let me just say that I don't wish it on my worst enemy, because I know how much probably it would hurt, because that person was like family to you. But, you know, I try to have a positive spin on things. Otherwise, you're going to beat yourself up about it, that this happened for a reason. And I hope that you're using it as something that would benefit you in the future.
Yep. So the way I took it, I was very disappointed in this person. I've known them, my God, since I was 14 years old. And it was a pretty big blow in a way that, you know, I was not even in the United States. I was overseas. I hadn't talked to this person since last summer, and they just texted me out of the blue and about, you know, for me to wake up regarding I guess maybe the Middle East, the religion, whatever it might be. And I kind of was caught off guard, because I'm very American in my ways and the way I do things. And I didn't understand why that person texted me like that. I mean, obviously he texted me later, a day or two later, saying that he was drunk and whatever. But my point is, I never would say that about his culture, his religion. And it's the reason what happened is what I took away from it was, he was drunk. He's watching TV and getting some biased news about the Middle East. And for sure, there's things that happen in the Middle East that are wrong, but a lot of it is not really wrong. It's just being biased by the United States news organizations just to fit their agenda or their narrative. So, the more liberal will speak a certain way, and the more conservatives will speak another way regarding the Middle East. And I believe that whether it be liberal, conservative, I think just that they are serving their agenda. So what I used to always tell my friend is you've got to look past these agendas and see the truth. And maybe the truth lies between both the liberal conservative conversation, or you might have to go online and kind of look up some more independent work. So, that's kind of what I was thinking. And so again, he always says he tries to be unbiased, but the problem is he's watching some very biased news. And, I think if I remember correctly, what had happened right around that time when he texted me, I believe there was a shooting in Washington, D.C., and I think there were 2 National Guard military people killed, maybe 3. I just can't remember the exact number of people that were killed. I think it was outside the White House. Very horrible what happened. And I believe the person was not even from the Middle East. I think he was from Afghanistan, if I remember correctly. But again, what the issue is with the news, they kind of group the Middle East with Afghanistan and a lot of the other countries using Islam, but it's not really connective in a way. The religion cannot connect to the cultural geographic areas. It's very different. For instance, the way they practice Islam in Afghanistan is very different than the way they practice Islam in Egypt. Very different. Very different. Again, the core religion says certain things that everybody should follow. But then when you come off into the different cultural geographic areas, everybody starts to kind of make it their own in a way. Change the religion. I don't want to say that, but they add their cultural viewpoints into the religion, or they use the religion and kind of augment it and change it in a way to fit their cultural sphere that they live in. So it's really interesting that the pure religion itself is constant all the way across all these countries, but how you implement it and how do you kind of utilize it with respect to people is different. I think it's very different. The way, in Saudi Arabia, they'll do different things, from their viewpoint. And Egypt will do different things. And so again, like every Muslim country will act differently depending on their geographic, cultural, or, their region. It's really, it'd be great if everybody uniformly did the same thing religious wise, in regards to applying the religion to, the people, right? Not applying the religion in a way where you're praying 5 times a day. Everybody does that. They fast. Everybody does that, but how do you treat your friends and family? Are you going to treat them differently, with respect to the religion or irrespective of the religion, right? So, it's again, I think, in the United States and overseas, it doesn't have to be the US only. They see the religion is the driving force of the countries in the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. So, and it is not the driving force of how people conduct themselves. So if somebody conducts themselves in a way where like, I'm gonna, use the religion in a negative way and kill people, then that's the person's psychology, and they're convincing themselves that the religion is okay with it, and it really is not. And that's the point that is really not being picked up by anybody in the, well, I don't want to say not being picked up by the media. The media, I think, understands everything, but they're only gonna they're gonna put out what the narrative is that's gonna, number one, give you great ratings, right? And number two, sell advertising on their show. Whatever it might be, on CNN, Fox, whatever it might be, doesn't matter. They get advertising money. And these advertisers pay, they do that for all shows, including news. So I remember when I was young, watching Happy Days or whatever it might be, certain advertisers would advertise during that show. You'd have McDonald's because they want the families, that kind of thing. So, it's the same thing with the CNNs, the BBCs, the Fox News, all that stuff. They're all really, they really have to kind of have this narrative that is for their conservative or liberal side, or kind of middle of the road, whatever it might be, that's the news channel. And also, they have to cater to the people that are going to watch these commercials, because the commercials are what pay for their show. They're not getting paid for the show outside of commercials, right? So they're getting paid for the commercials. And obviously, if you're on Fox or CNN, or remember, there's some fee that's being paid in cable. But a lot of things that happen when I was young, a lot of these shows, news shows, TV shows, they were getting money, and literally only got money from advertisers. There was no such thing as cable when I was young. So that advertising part of it is a really big deal. It's a big money maker
So
for
Ihab, you
these shows.
No, definitely it comes down to the mainstream media. They have a certain agenda, and they want to satisfy that agenda. And unfortunately, this time it hit too close to home, because we talked about this a lot, me and you, that, there's a lot of, not fake news, but there's a lot of misleading, there's a lot of concept they're being promoted because to satisfy a certain narrative in this, and take us to a certain direction. The disappointment, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that person grew up with you, he ate with you, he lived with you, and one of the things that you told me, he should have known better to say something like that. Could be under the influence of chemical, whatever he's doing, could be under the influence of, peer pressure to maybe the people around you, because you guys live so far apart and you haven't been together in a long time. You don't live together. You just, now that you are more like acquaintances, that when you happen to be where he lives, you get together just for a day or two. That's not enough. But the sad thing about it is, like you said, that person built that presumption, and that came to the conclusion and he played upon somebody's conduct, not somebody's personality, as somebody's character, not somebody's personality. Somebody's character is the way they conduct themselves, but it doesn't mean that's their personality. And just touching a little bit on the personality of religion, and I am sick and tired of the world using personality to divide humanity. It shouldn't be that way. To me, religion is very spiritual, is very personal, is very intimate. But unfortunately, there are a certain group of people around the world that use religion as an excuse, as a reason to gaslight us to hate. And it is sad that happened to you. And it is, for me, it's not sad, it's more disappointed. And I was very surprised, and I don't know that person for that long, but I know him, or I knew him through you, through all the stories that you told me about him and his family. Now, that person did apologize. Whether that apology has value to it in your eyes or not, I cannot ask you to accept it or forget it or forgive him 100%. But, I'm glad that, I hope that you learned something from it to make you a better person and to help you build that protection. I just hope you don't become too paranoid about anybody or everybody that's trying to get close to you, because constantly using that example is like, how can I trust anybody? Because this person, I trusted it with my life. We grew up together, and that's what happened. Just like the group on, I don't know if you guys, for our viewers and our listeners, if any of you guys are big fans of Stranger Things, that group of kids that played Dungeons & Dragons together and they saved the world together, that is basically that relationship of Ihab to that person. But let's move forward. So that's the big shock, and I hope that you heal from it. What would you say the one thing that wowed you this year?
In a good way, you mean?
Yeah, in a good way, in a happy way, just like wow.
The only thing that really wowed me to this year was, my visit to Egypt was a big wow to me. Not a wow like the first time, but wow like this time when I went, and we'll probably talk about that in a different episode. There was more family connection this time versus visiting, all these different sites. We in 2024, we went to Luxor for 4 days. And so, a good amount of time we were away from family. This time, all we did was spend time with as much family as possible. And, we'll talk about in the next episode, but that was the big wow. And, it really wanted me to connect more with them. So that's kind of, there was not any other big wow this year, to be honest with you. Everything was the same as the previous year.
So let's tap into that a little bit. So you went to Egypt again this year, the same time of the year. Obviously, there was a huge engagement party that you attended as the matriarch of the family, because you are the eldest cousin of the eldest child from your mom's side and your dad's side. So you're a big deal in that small society we call family. The ecosystem of your family. So that was a big deal. And everybody, honestly, from the feedback that I got from your cousin, they were surprised that we actually attended, because we had a plan to go back during February, March, during the last 10 years of Ramadan, because you never experienced Ramadan anywhere else except United States, and be there for the holidays. And they were really surprised and appreciative and impressed that we switch plans for them. And to them, that said a lot about how much we love them and how much we are ready to be there for them, fly across the globe to North Africa and to attend that engagement party, to give our blessings and to celebrate with them. So that was the biggest event. I think last year we went as tourists, we're testing the water, checking things out. We're not sure how the reaction is going to be. But since last year, we stayed in touch with everybody and we built that relationship through social media remotely. And this year, when we got there, it almost was so much excitement about, oh my God, we're seeing you again. Oh my God, we're here. It was so surreal, at least for me. Then you got to spend a lot of time with the uncle, who's the Army veteran who fought in the 6th of October 1973 war when Egypt regained Sinai. And he was in the trenches, he was on the grounds, and he fought, and you got to hear even more stories about that. And I think you played Taula with him, which is the game that's backgammon that's very, very famous, in the Middle East. And I saw you chuckling and laughing with him, and I haven't seen you so happy and in such a peaceful place in a very, very long time. I think since my father-in-law passed away, Allah yarhamu yahsin ilayh, in 2022, because he was the only one. Yeah, he was the only one that manages somehow to make you chuckle, like your uncle did. So that's number 2. That's my analysis. Number 3, personally, I feel Egypt is the only country that doesn't forget my name as a person. Everywhere I went, everywhere I turned, I just felt loved. I felt appreciated. I felt recognized as a human being, not as Dr. Slava, not as a business owner, not as the wife of Dr. Abdelrehim, just as a person. And as you know, when I got there, I got really sick. My asthma kicked in, and they saved my life. Everybody were hands on deck and just save Slava, make her feel better especially for the engagement party, before the engagement party. And you know, our audience need to realize, somebody like me, I have no land. Yeah, I'm Jordanian, but I never lived in Jordan. So when I'm here in the United States, I am too Arab and I don't feel American enough. And when I was in Jordan, or when I'm talking to a Jordanian, even when I was in Egypt for the first time, I felt like, or being in the Middle East, when I was there in December 1991, going back to Saudi Arabia, I just felt I'm an Arab, but I'm not Arab enough because I'm too American. So there is that identity crisis or identity confusion when it comes to the Middle East. But the only spot that I felt that I belong, that the Middle East or my culture or my tradition did not forget who I am or recognize exactly who I am, validated my identity, was Egypt, especially this time. I think because we mingled a lot more with the family and we spent a lot of time with the family, I felt like I was resigning there for 2 weeks. I wasn't a tourist. I wasn't a visitor. I wasn't a guest. But I'm not sure how you feel.
To not get too deep into the visit, I'm going to say I felt a continuation basically of what I felt in 2024 and more connection. But I don't want to go too deep into it because we're going to have a whole episode on this. So that was kind of the way I felt. I felt good like I did the first time. Even better because I got to spend more time with family. And different family members I didn't really meet the first time. I believe I spoke to them over the phone. So, and I even spoke to some new family members, like not new. They've been our family, but ones that I haven't spoken to since I was very, very young. So the next time we go visit, I'd like to visit them in other parts outside of Cairo they live. You know, for example, Alexandria, Mansoura, that kind of area. Those are the areas we're probably going to have to hit. But the more we go, the more I can visit other family members and kind of go outside that Cairo sphere a little bit, so I can give them a little bit of time to meet them and get to know them a little bit. So, but yeah, it's going to be an ongoing project for me. Of reconnection. It's not going to happen. It wasn't going to happen in 2 visits. It's going to be many visits, I think, to really get that connection.
No, that's a really good point. And like Dr. Ihab has mentioned, we are going to designate a full episode about our trip in Egypt, and we are going to dig a little bit deeper about everything that we've seen, everything that we felt. And hopefully it will be interesting for you guys. So I would like to spend a little bit time on reflecting on 2025 as a business owner. as a entrepreneur that, provides, participate in the society. I mean, to the economy. Basically, you create jobs, you pay your taxes, you produce, you expand. You have created and launched a franchise, Greenwood Dental Franchise Group in 2024. We have managed to visit some dental schools. I guess let's start with, what was your impression on the new generation of dentists from talking to them, mingling with them when we went at the job fairs?
Actually, to be honest with you, very impressed by the new dentists at the job fair. I thought they were very professional. They were very mature in my opinion. And again, I obviously haven't seen their dentistry. I don't know how good of a dentist that person is, but the way they presented themselves on a first glance, it was really good. I thought it was very refreshing to see these youngsters be very eager. Obviously they're looking for a job, but they're also eager to learn, whether it be dentistry or different systems that have been set up at companies or offices, so they can improve their skill set in two aspects: in the clinical aspect and in the aspect of just kind of working with team members and patients, and working with a new system inside a dental office, which they haven't been exposed to because they've been exposed to only school and their clinic. So it's not the same thing as working in a dental office. It's, they're going to use their clinical skills they learned in school and their clinics in the school. But how they're going to interact with patients is going to be very different at the office than it was with a patient at the clinic in the school. And Slava, you can probably talk a little bit more about that, but that's kind of what I see them as, very eager to learn that the new concepts and just all these new ideas. So that's what I noticed. But you can talk a little bit about the difference between a school clinic and working in a dental office. So that's something I will let you talk about.
Yeah, I'll be very happy to tap into that. But before I do, let me ask you this. How different are these kids from me when I graduated in 1999?
To be honest with you, that I met them once for about a few minutes each. I would say similar. I can't make a decision on somebody from a 5-minute conversation. Again, they all seem very professional, very intelligent, very well spoken. They had all the right stuff when they were talking to us. So, you dig deeper when you have an interview with them, for instance. Then you have a working interview, right? So it's not as straightforward as you might think, but when I have a bit more time with them in an interview, and then I see them maybe come and do a working interview in the clinic, I can see how they act. But again, you don't know how somebody's going to act until they're actually working at the office. Then the true colors start to come out. A good gauge is the interview, but again, you don't know what's going to happen when they start working. Again,
yeah, because God knows we can spend all night talking about the examples that we had through the years.
We don't need to,
we've been in business, which we're not going to go into, that how some people have the ability, or some personality have the ability to interview so well, but when just to secure that position or secure the job. When the tough gets going, in order to apply themselves and perform, we get a big surprise, and it doesn't just work out. So there are certain personalities, I agree with you, whether they interview very well or they start performing with us when they start their employment, and then they're very good for about 2-3 months, and when they get really comfortable, all the guards, right, drop, and then the true, not personality, the true character comes out because they change their conduct. So they change their character according to what is the goal, right? But going back to answer your question, I was very impressed, and I spent a lot of time with those young dentists, seniors and juniors, and also freshmen, and they do have a very good idea of what they want, which is very, very important. Because to give you an example, when I was in dental school, I was thinking about becoming a pediatric dentist specialized with children, just to treat children. So having a practice that is limited to treating children dentistry. And then I changed my mind and just didn't know what to do. Then I got, I signed up. I was going to join the military and then change my mind. And then I signed up for residency. I did a whole year so I can make up my mind. And then after residency, remember, I was going to jump into buying practice. I changed my mind. Then we moved to Maine. Then I became an associate, then became a partner, which is fine. I think it gave me a lot of different taste in different flavors of what's out there. And because that helps you at the end when you make that final decision, it's like, this is exactly what I want, because I have been everywhere else and I've done every single job that's possibly in dentistry. And I can tell that this is exactly for me and what's going to work. But these kids, like, even the questions that they asked me, it was on point. They asked me really good questions as far as owning a practice, the location of the practice, how they want to start. Their vision was very realistic. It wasn't unrealistic. It wasn't like, oh my God, I want to be a dentist and this is like a castle in the sky and everything is going to be sunshine and rainbow, whatever. No, they were very grounded, very, very realistic as far as their expectations of themselves as a new graduate and a new business owner and a practice owner. So I know we always bash social media and technology, but I think this is one of the few things. I think social media and technology is very good for educating that generation or those young dentists, the new graduates, of what they want exactly, because they have so much information under their fingertips that they can interact with and they can analyze and they can examine so they can make the decision. For us, my generation, we had to go through life and experience it in life for us to know exactly, this is what I want. For these guys are sitting in their bed, they're sipping their coffee in Starbucks, and they're just scrolling through all that info that's coming at them. Look what you can do. Look what you can do. Don't do this. Don't do that. They have YouTube videos. They have a lot of classes online, and they're just learning and at least graduating knowing what they want in concept, the model that they're looking for. And that's what I got from them. Where our generation graduate was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I guess I can try this. I guess I'll try that. The safest thing to do is join the military. And that's why the military has a lot of presence and agency in our decision post dental school, whether it's a residency or GPR or, the military. And then you become an associate. But, if you ask me, one of the highlight of 2025 being in dental schools, I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed meeting these young dentists and teaching them and explaining to them about our model, our concept, because it is really the future. It's a novel idea that nobody has done before, and it's patent for us, and it is our brand, and nobody have done it before, and we are introducing it to the to the new generation as a new future, as a different future. I think that was, and it didn't, we worked on it since 2024 to, it took a lot of time networking, and JD Yusuf was amazing at getting all these people, convinced and accepting and willing to have us come in as their guest and introduce us and expose us to the students, because it's a big responsibility. And, and it was really the cherry top of the end of the year, because I know how hard he worked and how hard you worked trying to get the franchise launched. And we finally got in when we got the news that the guy got into dental school. That was very, very exciting. And, I was nervous, to be honest with you. I never done this before. I never done public speaking. I never spoke or presented in dental school. And for me, dental school's PTSD is like, oh my God, I'm still a student. The moment I walked into the door, I went back almost in time. It's like, I'm a student in dental school. No, I'm not. I am I'm a dentist, 27 years. I'm a business owner. I'm coming here with a new idea. It was really exciting but overwhelming. And I think it was impactful too, because we got a lot of interest in our idea and our model, and hopefully it will pay off, and we'll continue doing that. The one thing that taught me a huge lesson is, I agree with you, Ihab, revising and reassessing friendships and focusing on quantity more than quality. Quality more than quantity.
Quality versus quantity.
Quality time, quality personalities. Moving forward from now until the end of my time, I want to be with people that really appreciate my time and value what I offer in a relationship. So it's a give and take, balanced give and take, and not only take, and leaving me completely drained. Like, I feel with all the relationships I had, whether with friends or family included, I felt like I had to constantly dust myself off. It was just messy, and I always end up being the one that sacrifice a lot and give out. We talked about this, Ihab, too, and give out a lot. And I'm not going to do that in time, because life is too short. And I think I'm very grateful and very thankful that I had the life that I had to get me to realize and get to the conclusion that I'm not going to do that anymore. I think it's going to make me a better person for myself, and also is going to be a better person going into any relationships moving forward, because it's not fair for the other person in the relationship to have me pressure them to do to me what was done to me in the past. It's not fair to them, because you don't know that they're going to do the same thing. So, yeah, I think it's really a year of, we call it rehearsal. I think we rehearsed a lot last year, and we had a lot of, blurbs and hiccups, and I'm glad that we are, sharing that with our audience and our viewers, because as a self-improvement step, it's a very, very important step. And we're not young. We're not going to get any younger. We're getting older, but it's amazing that in those advanced years of our lives, we are still learning to improve and develop better, traits, better tools, better skills, not only to protect ourselves, but to have a healthier relationships, to have a healthier mindset. I'm not talking about limiting ourselves. I don't want to limit ourselves, but I want us to be, I think we are going to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more steady. We're going to be a lot more slower in making a decision that this is worth, a relationship, this is not worth a relationship, and be kind to everybody and be nice to everybody, but not to give out so much, and come across too generous, but also overwhelming for that person in front of us. Any last words, Ihab?
Well, my last words would be, again, I'm going to focus this year on the relationships that are going to help me grow myself and help that person or those people grow. And whether it be, professional or personal, I'm going to be cutting out all the negativity in my life. Starting this year, that's it. Because I'm getting to a point in my life where, my age is starting to get up there and it's catching up with me, where I really don't feel like doing and going through what I did in my younger years and kind of making amends with people that, come back and do the same thing over and over. So this time I'm going to just cut loose most of the people that are going to be, I'd say negative or not help me in a positive way. Because if I'm positive with somebody, I would like that same positivity to return to me from that person. So if it's not, well, then I just don't need them. I don't need them in my sphere anymore, basically.
Yeah, but it's not, some of you guys might hear that and think, oh, that's so selfish. No, it's not being selfish. It's being cautious and being fair to yourself when you do that. That's number one. Number two, there are two people in the world. People that learn from their mistakes and grow with their mistakes and be a better person to themselves and for others. And there are the second kind of people that master their mistakes. Mastering your mistakes, meaning that doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That's madness in the book of psychology. So it's very, very important for us we are reassessing our mindset. We're reassessing how we want to advance in the years. Like Ihab said, we are not getting younger. When you're young, you have all the time in the world. It's like, oh, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. Because we're slowing down, everything slows down. Your body slows down. Your mind slows down. Your emotions are just exhausted for more mistake. We want to reduce the mistakes. Yeah, we learned a lot, but we want to reduce them as much as possible, because if you have quality than quantity at this point of your life, like us, the thing is, you're going to have more time for yourself, more time to be in stillness, more time to slow down, more time to breathe, more time to take care of your health, more time to take care of your mental health and improve your well-being. Because, like Ihab said, we are getting older and we're getting tired, especially our path and our profession and in the few and the life we've built. It took a lot out of us. So if you are in our boat, hopefully this has been very, very helpful episode for you. And we are starting 2026 with a lot of lessons and a lot of tools and a lot of skills for a better mindset, a transformative mindset. So on that note, I thank you so much for listening and for watching. Thank you so much for hanging out with us in this new year episode, the first episode of season 2 of Chatting with Slava the Jordanian. And please, if you like this content, please subscribe, like, and share these episodes, because without your support, we won't be able to grow. And as a reminder, these episodes are posted on the Spotify and the Apple podcast every single Wednesday, but also they are available to you to watch on our YouTube channel, Greenwood Dental Partners. And leave your comments too and your questions down below, and let us know what type of topics you would like us to discuss. We're very excited for this new season, and I hope to see you next time. This is Slava the Jordanian.